Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, soon to be Castle Keeper Kurt. Uh, so let's talk about. Let's just do a quick update on how our games are going. So with our 5e game, the brave adventurers entered into the lair of the Grell. So the Grell are a species that have been around for quite a while. There's a nice full-page uh, picture of them in the Fiend Folio First Edition, which I showed around the table, and they're like, "Oh, we know what those are." Well, they're in fifth, and the party fought them. The fifth edition version has had some changes. They took away the Grell's lightning lances. Now, these are kind of javelin sized metal rods, pointy at one end, that shoot lightning out of them. Okay, so I gave a few of the Grells those. The party now has, I believe, 3 lightning lances that they have not properly attuned to yet and have not figured out how to use. This is meant to be used by Grell. Now, there's a certain number of magic items that must be attuned by, and then there's an attunement requirement. Must be attuned to by a bard. Must be attuned to by, such and such type creature. And they could find that by not being a Grell, either they can't attune to them, or they can only partially attune to them. They could find that recharging these things is difficult because they might not recharge every day at dawn like most 5e magic items. They might require sinking spell slots into them. I imagine that these are usually recharged by the electrical energy of the Grell themselves, because they are literally big brains, okay, with beaks and tentacles with barbed paralysis-causing tips. So the adventurers will find out what I've done with those items. I'll let you know. The 5e version of Grell are missing something. They're missing the Patriarch Grell and the Philosopher Grell. Upper tier, tougher variants. So, what I did was I made these creatures, and the party will encounter them next session. So, enjoy, fellas and ladies. We're going to be exploring the use of lair actions and old style magic resistance. So that should be fun. Legendary resistances in 5e, they allow the DM to say, okay, I have 3 chances to simply say no to failing a saving throw. Old school magic resistance, I got to roll a percentile, and if it's under that percentile, I just ignore a spell that's cast at my creature, because it is innately resistant to a certain amount of magic. We'll see how the party manages to get their way around that. Obviously, that doesn't work against such things as axes and swords, but we'll see. Being flying creatures, the party has not used spike growth like they have in previous fights, but we'll see if the Grell have such things. And after our party defeated a number of regular Grell, they went backed up to a pool, a deep, watery pool that was off to one side of the cavern. And they were very perceptive. They saw something very large. It was a giant moray eel, 25 plus feet long. Size huge. And they cast Speak with Animals. Now, the giant version of an animal doesn't always count as a beast for the purposes of Speak with Animals. It'll sometimes count as a monstrosity or whatever, so technically the spell shouldn't work. DM Fiat, I allow it. Speak with Animals. Cool, you can speak to this creature. It's simply a larger version. It's not a magically enhanced or mutated version of an animal. I'll allow it. Remember, speak with does not mean charm. It does not mean control or dominate. Because there's plenty of things you can talk to that aren't your friend. So don't assume it's your friend. They struck a deal with this creature. They said, well, they noticed that this thing had leathery hide with multiple scars on it. And the kind of scars that those paralysis tentacles of the Grell would leave if they tried to fight. And obviously this thing was alive. It had succeeded in its fights. I said, well, and it asked if they would toss a Grell in there at the very least. They gave it a Grell. He's like, oh, that's delicious. Other than the beak at the one end and the tips of the tentacles at the other end, the whole thing's boneless and juicy and delicious. Give me more. So they drug about 8 dead Grell to the giant moray eel, who was very pleased. They asked if it had any treasure, and it said, yeah. Give me and they made a bargain. They would feed this eel these Grell in exchange for what shiny things it had. And it had, I believe it had 1 lightning lance, a couple gems, and a couple gold rings. And it spat those things onto the shore and greedily took the Grell bodies to its lair in the back of the deep pool. Hey, a bargain's a bargain, whether you're friends or not. Had they decided to go swimming, well, we'll see how that would have worked out, but they were not willing to go swimming with a giant moray eel, for a good reason. We'll pick up Tuesday night, hopefully, and fight some more Grell. Hopefully, some more interesting Grell, and then go from there. The 2E group, well, 2nd edition is wrapped up for us. We converted the characters into Castles and Crusades characters, and it was pretty much straight across. The Ranger with his 1870-something percentile strength, we just gave him a 19. Made no difference to his stat block, only to his 1 more point of encumbrance he could carry. And we just ran a handful of arena fights using the new critical hit tables we came up with, and critical fumble table. So they fought an ogre. That went pretty easy. They fought what looked like a manticore and a goblin. They had some difficulty with the manticore. The goblin was just taking hits. And in round 1, the goblin with a sling and a short sword launches the sling. I rolled a 20. I rolled again on my table. The party's rogue was knocked unconscious with a sling stone to the head. Bam, right in the forehead. Round 1. Lights out. Okay. They had a war dog who suffered, I believe, from the ogre getting a critical and taking one of its legs off. The party's cleric ran up and did first aid and magical healing to save the war dog. That was a little bit tense. Let's see. The archer scored a 20. I mean, we're getting critical hits in here, and we're seeing how dangerous they could be. A critical hit with an arrow, and that one was blade lodged in your chest, so arrow lodged in your chest, -2 to armor class, and take an additional D12 damage each round from bleeding out until you have medical attention. Yeah, that was pretty dangerous. I believe that we either had 2 bugbears or we had an ogre in that particular fight taking that arrow to the chest. And the players are realizing that this is going to be a dangerous game. Thankfully, player characters are quick to roll up replacements. It's just attributes, race, class, equipment, bam. And the equipment part is going to be quick if I use the CNC Adventurer's Backpack book, or I simply write up my own index cards of an Explorer's pack has this, a Dungeoneer's pack has this, a Priest's pack has this, and here's the encumbrance value of this setup. Just bam, 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 here's some gear. Go for it. That'll quicken things up. I talked about Mythgarther Entertainment's module. I might run that. But my party has been interested in, what if we ran a post-apocalyptic world? Okay, a little bit of science, sci-fi, and magic. Okay, in a ruined Earth. And I was thinking, there's a certain old cartoon series that started out in the year 1994. A runaway planet crashed between the Earth and Moon, cracking the Moon in half, causing tidal waves and stripping away a portion of the Earth's atmosphere. Now it is the year 3994, and mankind is rising out of the ashes. There's mutants and magic and crazy stuff. Thundarr the Barbarian. I'm thinking, okay, I could adapt that world. I could make that work. So most of the character classes in CNC would work, other than the knight, because knighthood kind of requires a society to sustain that. Now, they have two factions, villagers and barbarians. Now, the barbarian tribes, you don't have to be the barbarian character class to be of that tribe. So we'll just see how that works faction-wise. And we'll have, evil wizards, sorcerers, whatever, and such NPCs and marauders and bandits and mutant creatures and such. I think it would work pretty well. And I've got players that are willing to give it a shot at least. So that's how my second edition turned CNC and my 5e tables are doing this week. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions about any of this, comment section down below. Be happy to answer them as best I can. Please like and subscribe as always. DM Kurt, out.